Here is part 1 explained in approximately 1,000 words. Fast-paced, simple English, emotional, and fully YouTube safe. No explicit content, no graphic scenes, no harmful themes. Part 1 expanded 1,000 words, clean and emotional. The evening began with simple intentions. Emily and Noah just wanted to feel close again. They had once been the couple everyone admired, warm, playful, always laughing. But lately, life had become a routine of work emails, silent dinners, and half-finished conversations. They cared for each other deeply, yet something invisible stood between them. They missed the feeling of being in love, not just in a relationship. A few days earlier, Ava and Lucas had suggested meeting for dinner. They were the kind of friends who live life loudly, always traveling. Okay? Always smiling, always turning every small moment into something fun. Emily liked them because their energy felt refreshing. Noah liked them because he could relax around Lucas and talk about anything without pressure. So inviting them over seemed harmless, maybe even helpful. A night with friends, good food, good music, nothing dramatic. On Saturday evening, the air outside was cool, and Seattle's sky was painted in soft pink clouds as the sun began to set. Emily set the table with candles and simple white plates. She wanted everything to feel warm and welcoming, not fancy, just sincere. Noah played music on the speaker-soft old love songs that reminded them of their early years together. For a moment, the house felt like it used to. When the doorbell rang, something inside Emily fluttered. She hoped the night would fix everything, even if she didn't say it aloud. Ava walked in first, glowing with confidence. She wore a bright red dress that contrasted with the gentle light of the room. She hugged Emily tightly and told her how beautiful the house looked. Lucas followed with a grin, balancing 2 bottles of wine and a dessert box. He gave Noah a playful hug and immediately filled the room with jokes and loud laughter. Their presence changed the energy instantly. Dinner started simple. Emily served food while everyone shared stories. Ava talked about a road trip they took in the summer. Lucas teased Noah about his old car that never seemed to work. Emily laughed until her stomach hurt, something she hadn't done in a long time. Even Noah looked lighter, like someone had lifted a weight from his shoulders. The conversation moved quickly. Movies, work, childhood memories, dreams they still hoped to chase. Ava spoke with bright eyes, using her hands to paint her stories in the air. Lucas added dramatic sound effects every time he told a joke. They were loud, chaotic, and full of life. The house, once quiet and distant, now felt awake. As the night grew more comfortable, the wine loosened everyone's guard. Not in a messy way, but in an honest, emotional way. People started saying things they normally kept hidden. Ava complimented Emily on her cooking, on her kindness, on her calm presence. She said Emily had a gentle way of caring about everyone, even when she was tired or busy. Emily blushed softly. She wasn't used to hearing such open praise. Lucas told Noah that he admired his patience, his loyalty, the way he always stood by Emily. Noah didn't know how to respond. He rubbed the back of his neck and laughed awkwardly. No one had said things like that to him in a long time. But beneath the warm words, something else was happening. Emily noticed Lucas watching her a little too closely, not in an inappropriate way, but with quiet admiration. Noah noticed Ava leaning toward him when she laughed, touching his arm every time she told a story. Their gestures were small, but they carried meaning. No one said anything about it. They just let the night move forward. After dinner, they settled in the living room. The lights were softer, the music slower. They sat on the floor with cushions and blankets, talking about love, trust, and the strange ways relationships change over time. Ava asked a question that shifted the entire mood. Do you ever feel like love gets quieter the longer you're together? Emily felt her chest tighten. She didn't know how to answer, but she nodded slightly. Noah looked at her, surprised. Lucas leaned his head back and exhaled. Sometimes you forget how to show it, he said. The room fell into a thoughtful silence. Each person felt something personal. Sometimes honesty can make people feel closer even when it's painful. Ava, noticing the heaviness, took Emily's hand gently. You still have love, she said. I can see it. Some people never find even half of what you two have." Emily swallowed hard. She felt tears forming, but she didn't want them to fall. Everyone thought she and Noah were perfect. They never showed anyone the quiet distance growing between them. Hearing someone remind her of their love felt both comforting and heartbreaking. Lucas looked at Noah the same way, telling him quietly, "You're lucky. She still looks at you like you matter." For a moment, it felt like the universe had paused. Everyone saw each other differently, not just as friends, but as people carrying hidden fears and silent hopes. More laughter came after the heavy moment. But something in the atmosphere had changed. The room felt too warm, too intense. Every smile seemed deeper than friendship. Every touch meaning more than it should. When Emily laughed at one of Lucas's jokes, she noticed how gently he watched her. When Noah spoke, Ava leaned in close, her attention locked on his every word. The closeness was subtle, but undeniable. Emily's heart beat faster. Noah's breathing grew heavier. No one crossed any line, but every second felt like walking toward something dangerous without realizing it. And yet, it was exciting in a way none of them wanted to admit. The night wasn't wild, dramatic, or chaotic. It was quiet, emotional, and full of unspoken feelings. For people talking honestly, feeling seen, feeling important in a way they hadn't in a long time. The small living room suddenly held too much emotion for the space it had. One look, one compliment, one moment of warmth. Everything carried weight. They had invited another couple for dinner, hoping for distraction and laughter. But instead, they unlocked something no one expected. When the night was only halfway over, Emily already knew this evening would change everything. 100% YouTube safe. No explicit scenes. Mature but clean. Emotional, dramatic, romantic, simple English. Original and copyright free if you want. I can now expand part 2 in 1,000 words. Give YouTube titles and descriptions. Provide thumbnail text. Write dialogue version for voiceover would. You'll like part 2 next? Here is part 2 fully expanded, approximately 1,000 words. Fast-paced, simple English, clean, emotional, and 100% YouTube safe. Part 2 expanded 1,000 words. Clean and emotional, the night grew deeper, and the mood shifted without anyone trying to change it. The food was gone, the candles burned lower, and the music became softer, almost like it understood the room better than the people inside it. No one planned for emotions to take over, but that's exactly what happened. At first, the conversations were light. Ava talked about a project she was working on. Lucas joked about a neighbor who always complained, and Noah told an old college story that made everyone laugh. But laughter slowly faded into something quieter, something honest. It happened naturally, the way late-night conversations often do. Without warning, Ava leaned back against the couch and looked at everyone with gentle eyes. "Can I say something real?" She asked. No one objected. She took a breath. "Sometimes I feel like Lucas and I are just two people living in the same house, not two people in love." Lucas didn't get angry. He didn't argue. He just stared at the floor with a tired expression. As if he'd been holding those words inside for too long, Emily felt the weight of Ava's confession. It sounded familiar to familiar. She exchanged a nervous look with Noah, and for a moment, she feared Ava would see everything she had been hiding. Lucas finally lifted his head. "We love each other," he said softly. "We're just tired. Life gets loud and we forget to listen." His voice wasn't angry. It was sad. It echoed the same emotions Emily had been feeling for months. Noah sighed, not loudly, just enough for the room to hear. It's strange. Everyone sees the happy parts, but no one sees what happens when the door closes. No one spoke for a moment. The silence wasn't uncomfortable, was honest. Emily surprised even herself when she whispered, "Sometimes I feel like I'm disappearing. I wake up, work, clean, sleep, and start again. I love Noah, but I don't feel like the person I used to be." Noah turned toward her, stunned. He had known she was unhappy, but hearing it so clearly shook him. His eyes softened, not in anger but in concern. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked. She shrugged. "I didn't want to add pressure. I thought I was just being dramatic." Ava reached for Emily's hand. "You're not dramatic. You're human." Lucas nodded. "We all are." It was strange for adults sitting in a warm living room, admitting fears they never wanted to say aloud. But it didn't feel embarrassing. It felt freeing. The walls people build around their hearts began to fall. Ava and Emily talked about the pressure of always appearing strong. Lucas and Noah talked about feeling responsible for everything, but somehow not enough, for the first time. None of them were pretending. The emotional honesty made everyone feel closer, maybe too close. The night continued, and the conversations became lighter again. They didn't want the mood to stay heavy, so they played a silly game. Each person had to say one compliment about another person at the table. Emily hesitated, then looked at Lucas. "You're thoughtful," she said. "You listen more than people realize." Lucas smiled, quiet but grateful. Then he turned to Emily. "You have this warm way about you. When you talk, everyone feels calmer." Noah noticed the softness in Lucas's voice. It wasn't romantic or inappropriate, but it carried emotion that wasn't there before. Ava looked at Noah and smiled. "You're steady," she said. "You take care of people without making a big show of it." Noah didn't know how to answer. Compliments from strangers were one thing, but coming from Ava, they felt different, deeper. He nodded slowly. "Thank you." Then Noah looked at Emily. "You're the most genuine person I've ever known. Even when you're tired, you give everything." Emily blinked back sudden tears. Hearing Noah speak with emotion made her remember why she fell in love with him in the first place. Something gentle, fragile, and powerful filled the room. But emotions are complicated. Feeling understood can be comforting and dangerous. Ava moved closer to Noah. It's just a few inches, not touching, but near enough to feel his presence. She looked at him longer than a friend normally would. It was subtle, but Emily saw it. A tiny spark of jealousy flickered inside her, unexpected. Sharp, alive dot. At the same time, Lucas kept watching Emily. Not with desire, but with admiration. Emily felt her heartbeat quicken. She wasn't used to anyone paying attention to her like that. She noticed something she had missed for a long time. The room wasn't loud. It was quiet, warm, and filled with emotions that no one said aloud. The candlelight made everything feel softer, almost unreal. The four of them were sitting closer now, knees touching, shoulders brushing. Breaths overlapping. Emily sensed something shifting. Ava laughed at something, Noah said, and placed her hand lightly on his arm. It was friendly, but longer than necessary. Noah didn't pull away, not because he wanted more, but because he didn't know how to react without making the moment awkward. Emily tried to ignore it, but her stomach tightened. Lucas leaned just a little toward Emily. "You're stronger than you think," he said quietly. "I can tell." She looked back at him, surprised by the tenderness in his voice. None of them intended to cross a line. No one touched anyone in a wrong way. But something invisible was moving through the room, attraction mixed with vulnerability. Confusion mixed with connection. Sometimes danger doesn't arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives in gentle silence. The later it got, the deeper the emotions became. The living room no longer felt like a simple space with candles and music. It felt like a place where hearts had been opened too wide to close again. No one noticed. Lucas watching Emily. Emily noticed Ava watching Noah. Ava and Lucas noticed Emily, and Noah noticing them. Every emotion doubled, then tripled, till no one could ignore what was happening. Still, there was no anger, no fight, no betrayal. Just feelings that none of them planned for. They were for adults searching for comfort. Trying to feel seen, trying to feel understood. But they didn't realize how close they were to something dangerous. Not physical danger, emotional danger. Ava leaned her head on the couch cushion, her voice soft. "Isn't it crazy how we can sit next to someone every day and still feel alone?" No one responded. They didn't need to. The silence said everything. By the time the clock hit midnight, the room felt like a different world. A world where people said the things they were too afraid to say in daylight. A world where feelings had no map. No rules. Emily's heart was full and confused. Noah felt awake and lost at the same time. Ava and Lucas looked peaceful but fragile. Everything was calm on the outside. But inside, everything had already gone out of control. Clean and emotional. No explicit or graphic content. Simple English. Safe for YouTube monetization, fast-paced and original. Would you like part 3 in 1,000 words next? Here is part 3, fully expanded, approximately 1,000 words. Fast pace. Clean, emotional, no explicit content, suitable for YouTube. Part 3, expanded 1,000 words. Clean, emotional, it was close to midnight. But no one was ready to leave. The night felt heavy and delicate at the same time. The living room lights were dim, the candles almost melted down to small glowing shapes. The music was soft enough that their breathing sounded louder. Every heartbeat felt noticeable. No one had crossed a line, but everyone felt something strange happening. A new closeness. A quiet tension. Words had unlocked emotions they didn't expect. And now they didn't know what to do with them. Emily sat on the carpet, knees pulled to her chest. She felt warm and overwhelmed. She didn't know if the night was healing her or hurting her. Noah sat beside her, leaning back on his hands, staring at nothing in particular. He kept replaying the confessions in his mind. Dava saying she felt unloved. Emily saying she felt invisible. The truth had arrived in waves, and he was still trying to breathe under it. Ava and Lucas sat close to each other, but not touching. It was strange, like they were together physically, but far apart emotionally. Every look between them seemed to ask a silent question. What happened to us? Lucas cleared his throat. Maybe we stayed because it's easy, not because we're happy. Ava didn't argue. She didn't defend herself or get upset. She just whispered, I don't want to lose you. I just don't know how to fix us. Emily watched them and her chest tightened. Their problems felt like a mirror of her own relationship. Love wasn't disappearing, just buried under life, stress, routine, expectations. Noah looked at Emily, and in his eyes there was the same question. Are we okay? Are we still choosing each other? No one said those words out loud, but they lived in the room like a shadow dot to break the tension. Ava suggested they step outside for fresh air. The night was cold, but comforting. The four of them walked to the backyard, sitting on the wooden porch steps. The sky was dark and full of stars. The silence wasn't heavy anymore, it was peaceful. Lucas exhaled slowly. Do you ever think maybe we're all just tired of pretending everything is fine? Emily nodded. Sometimes I think relationships don't break because of something big. They break because no one says something small. Ava placed her head on her knees. Or because we wait too long to fix things. Noah looked at Emily. We can fix us, he said, voice shaky but sincere. Emily's heart squeezed. She wanted to believe him. Then something unexpected happened. Not dramatic, but powerful. Lucas turned to Emily. You shouldn't feel invisible, he said softly. Anyone who loses you is a fool. It was a kind statement, but the way he said it, gentle, slow, meaningful, felt too intimate. Emily felt her face warm. She knew it wasn't right to accept that kind of attention, but part of her needed to hear it. Ava glanced at Noah. You're a good man, she whispered. Don't lose her because you forgot to show it. Noah swallowed hard. He knew Ava wasn't flirting, she was warning him. The air became too heavy again, so they went back inside. The living room felt different now, like emotions had soaked into the walls. They sat in a loose circle on the floor, not touching, but too close to pretend the night was normal. Ava leaned against the couch, staring at the candles. I think we all came here searching for something, she said. Maybe not even knowing what. No one disagreed. Lucas took a slow breath. We were looking for understanding, he said. For someone to hear us. Someone to say, we're enough. Emily's eyes filled with tears. And did we find it? Ava nodded. Yes, but maybe not in the way we expected. The room was silent again, but this time the silence felt like a decision waiting to be made. Emily suddenly stood up. Her hands were shaking. "This night changed something," she said softly. "And if we don't stop it here, I don't know where it goes." Noah immediately got up beside her, like his instinct was to follow her wherever she went. He reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. Their fingers laced together, soft but certain. Ava and Lucas slowly got to their feet, too. Ava's voice cracked. "We're not bad people. We're just hurting." Lucas nodded. "But if we stay here longer, we might make choices we regret." Everyone felt the truth of that. This wasn't a night about temptation or mistakes. It was a night about feelings that had been ignored too long, and when hearts wake up suddenly, they don't know how to behave. Emily stepped forward and hugged Ava. It wasn't a quick hug. It was emotional, grateful, sad. Ava held onto her tightly, as if she didn't want to let go. "I'm glad we talked," Emily whispered. "But I love Noah. I need to go home to him, not look for myself somewhere else." Ava nodded, tears falling silently. "I understand." Lucas shook Noah's hand with a quiet sincerity. "Take care of her," he said. "She's stronger than she thinks, but even strong people need someone who sees them." Noah's voice was rough. "I haven't been seeing her." "That changes tonight." They walked to the door together. Ava and Lucas stepped outside first. The night air brushed against their faces. For a long moment, everyone just stood still, not wanting to say goodbye. But knowing they had to, Ava managed a small smile. "Maybe this night happened to remind us what we still have." Lucas nodded, "And what we almost lost." The goodbye was soft, heavy, and full of emotions that didn't need more words. When the door closed, the house felt quiet again, but not empty. Something important was left behind: honesty. Emily leaned against Noah's chest. She wasn't shaking anymore. She felt safe, not because the night had been simple, but because it had forced them to look at each other again. "I don't want us to fade," she whispered. Noah wrapped his arms around her, holding her firmly. "We won't, I promise." He pulled back and looked into her eyes, the same way he used to when they first fell in love. "I choose you. Not because we're perfect, but because we're real." Emily nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Then let's start again." The night that almost turned into something dangerous had become something healing instead. They didn't fix everything in one moment, but they took the first step, and sometimes that is enough. As they turned off the lights and walked upstairs, the house felt warm again. The distance between them was gone, and the lesson was clear. Sometimes emotions spin out of control, not to break people apart, but to wake them up. 100% YouTube safe. No explicit or graphic content. Simple English, emotional, fast-paced. Mature but clean. Original and copyright free if you want. I can also create a full YouTube narration script. Give 5 optimized titles plus descriptions, thumbnail text, and tags. Image prompts for thumbnail characters. Would you like those?